I think I have the greatest base in the history of politics. I have people that I love and that love me, frankly. That includes a lot of women.
You're telling me. Yes. So, Cohen's off to the clink. How did the media respond? To which I say, so what? I mean, we all knew this guy was shady. He's so shady you could hold a picnic under him. But that's really not on Trump. It's not against the law to have a dirty lawyer, nor is it to have a dirty lawyer who pays off women you slept with. In fact, I believe if you're a real estate contractor from Queens, it's in the Human Resources Handbook as mandatory behavior. Step 1, sleep with a porn star. Step 2, hire a fixer to pay her off. Step 3, find another porn star. This is why I'm not running for president. You know what I've noticed? Every president has questionable friends who do things for them, who then get into hot water once you're elected. The last thing I want to do is get my slimy dirtball friends in trouble. I have so many, which is why I'm announcing today that I will not be running in 2020. Yeah. I know. Which means more time for travel, maybe to see old friends. I wonder how my college roommates will react. I'll see you soon, little buddies. Fact is, payoffs are unseemly, but they're not illegal. Even more, Trump used his own money, unlike the creeps in Congress who tapped our pockets for sexual harassment payoffs. Which may be why Nancy Pelosi now agrees with me telling the media to shut the F up.
I wish that the press would spend a lot more time on what we need to do here to meet the needs of the American people instead of morning, noon, and night allegations against the president. I think you'd have more viewers or readers that would address concerns that people have rather than just this ongoing coverage of what's current with the president from one day to the next.
Well, slap my face with a tapeworm. Someone's been watching this show, because I couldn't have said it better myself. I probably could have, but anyway. But if Nancy gets it, then she must know this collusion crap is going nowhere. Yeah, collusion. Remember when that was the big story? Now it's vanished like a pot brownie at Gary Johnson's house. Nobody remembers Gary. He eats a lot of pot brownies. Yet the media still keeps saying, what about Russia? 57 different ways. They're like a talking bottle of ketchup. Anyway, too bad about that meeting earlier this week.
We need border security. The wall is a part of border security. You can't have very good border security without the wall.
That's absolutely not true. That is a political promise. Border security is a way to effectively honor our responsibility.
And the experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
It totally solves the problem.
Now, the media went nuts, but I loved it. Of course, every time Trump acts like Trump, the media's hair catches fire, which I think might be a threat to public safety. Here you have a normal conversation between adults, and the media gets in a tither, which I think is German for leather bodysuit.
I think that she was saying, no mansplaining here. Let me remind you who I am.
What do you make of Trump's posture sitting in that room? The way he sits, the whole...
He always sits that way, though.
What would you call that? What do you call that?
It's like, I don't know.
The man spread, or whatever you call it. Look at that. Look, he widens his legs as far as possible. Man spreading, or whatever it is. Mansplaining.
Kris has not lost it. Amazing. It's like none of these people know people who call them out on stuff. Could that be it? Are they all living in their parents' basements talking to their cockatoo? But Nancy and Chuck badly wanted the wall discussion done privately, while Trump's like, no, let's do it here. He had nothing to hide, but they did. It was almost as if he knew he was right. And poor Chuck. every day morphing into the Penguin from Batman. So true. Meanwhile, these guys are working on their act for Vegas.
The president went toe-to-toe with his new foe, and he got Nanchucked. His new foe, the Nanchuck. I like it because it sounds like, you know, the martial arts. Do I get an amen on my new nickname of Nanchuck? Don Lemon gave it to me. I was going to go with Palumer.
Don, that's terrible.
With Palumer or Schmalosi. I had Palumer and Shalosi. And you were like, oh.
Nanchuck went over well.
You were right about that.
They really are the Lenny and Squiggy of cable news. Without the Lenny, they're both really squiggy. Now, I get it, Trump made them that way, but overlooked in all of this, this guy. Yep, Mike Pence. As stoic as an Easter Island attraction. Undertakers tell him to loosen up. He kind of reminds me of me when I watch Sarah Silverman tell a joke. But really, he's just doing his part to represent Trump's grandest promise, a wall. He became, at that moment, a wall. And Trump was saying, if we don't have a wall, I'm just going to send 1,000 Pences to the border. They will all lock arms and remain motionless. Although, you know what? Looking at Pence, I do wonder, what the hell was he thinking?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to meet with you.
God, the Greg Gutfeld Show is so funny. I wonder what that guy's like. I bet he's awesome.
American people recognize.
I bet he'd be fun to go fishing with. But I need a boat. Should I buy a boat? But I don't live near water. Does that matter?
You have the White House. You have the White House. You have the Senate.
Will Greg think I'm weird if I have a boat and I don't live near water? He'll probably make fun of me.
Because in the Senate we need 60 votes.
No, but in the House.
And we don't have
it. Bring it up right now.
Yeah, but I can't, excuse me, but I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't
Maybe if I get the boat first, I could move closer to water. Or should I move closer to water than get the boat? But then the boat salesman will see me a mile away. Oh, look at this guy. He just moved near water. He's probably going to buy a boat. This is a bad idea. If Greg only likes me because I have a boat, then I don't need his friendship. He's really not my friend after all. Greg's a big, stupid jerk, and I hate his big, stupid face.
Wow. Now, that's good. While most of us saw this as another week, others still get so dramatic. Some said things you could lose your job over, or worse, that I could lose my job over.
Is that a patriot speaking? Or a wannabe dictator's butt boy?
She called the Secretary of State an anti-gay slur. Of course, she apologized faster than you could say Joy Reid, but it sucked on Twitter, so she apologized again.
The term is crass and offensive, and I apologize to everyone, especially the LGBTQ community, and to my colleagues for using it. It was a mistake. My father would have found it so unbecoming and disrespectful, and he would have told me. I will work hard to be better.
Now, we should accept the apology. People like Mika who don't accept apologies are jerks. But boy, I can safely say if it were me who said it, I doubt you'd say forgive and forget. I'd have more pitchforks in me than the farm supply aisle at Home Depot. But the incident kind of tells you something. Mika's the daughter of a diplomat, like she said. She's a symbol of elitism and the establishment cocktail circuit. And the word that comes to her mind about a Secretary of State is that word, meaning she'll be fine. She's protected. For 2 years, Trump has been accused of saying awful things, but nothing quite like that. Morning Joe truly has become a race to the bottom. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She puts the fine in finance, stock market guru, and financial analyst Heather Zumarraga. He's so funny, strangers slap his knee. Writer and comedian Kris. She's bold, likes to scold, and complains about the cold. National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. And Niagara Falls is his drinking fountain. Former WWE superstar, my massive sidekick, and host of UnPC on Fox Nation, Tyrus. All right. Heather, what was your take on that whole wall meeting done in public?
I loved it. I couldn't stop watching. One part that wasn't shown is Pelosi said, we're going to call this a Trump shutdown. And under his breath, he said, well, I was going to call it a Pelosi shutdown. But everyone was happy as soon as Chucky Schumer said, will you please acknowledge that this time you take credit for the shutdown? Because he had to take credit for it in August. They called it a Schumer shutdown. And he said, you know what, Chuck? I'll take credit for it. So this time, as long as he takes credit for it, Chuck and Nancy are happy. They're off the hook. That's all they cared about.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, and that's always Trump's kind of motto, is that he'll take the heat. He doesn't mind. I mean, it can't get much worse. The heat is already hot, Kris. Much unlike you. Thanks for dressing down.
Welcome.
Were you helping your friends move before you got here?
No, later, tonight.
Are those sweatpants?
They are not. They're my first ever black jeans in life.
Well, you know what black jeans are? They're sweats. Tight sweats, Kris.
Next time I'm going to wear actual tights, by the way.
Yes, I hope you do. Maybe that's my goal, is to get you into tights.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yes. What? Kris, what do you make of the week?
That was my Mika impression.
Yes. Yeah, that was very good. A very good Mika impression. What did you make of the week? You can pick Mika, Pelosi.
With that meeting, I really enjoyed. So Trump baits people in.
Yes.
Everyone acts like shutting down the government, it sounds bad. He's good, ruining America. He knows people are going to freak out, and then it's going to work itself. He talks to them like a family going to Disney, and he's like, I'll turn this car around. And they go, no, you can't, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll do it. I'm going to shut it down. It will work out.
Yeah. In fact, I don't mind the government shutting down, Kat. I think you would agree with me.
I do agree with you, Greg.
Okay, next question.
I do agree with you.
On my pants.
And also, I don't think that anybody who supports Trump is going to care, even if it is his shutdown. And he says it's his shutdown because it's for border security, and that's one of the things he ran on that was so important to a lot of the people and the reason why a lot of people voted for him. So they're probably happy to see a Republican actually standing up for things rather than just caving like a lot of the Republicans have in the past.
Tyrus, last word.
I think the biggest thing was, first of all, I'd like to give Nancy Pelosi some kudos here, because this is why the media didn't want her back.
Right, you're right.
This is why. Because she came to work. She came to work with the President of the United States, and that's why they were making fictitious people to run against her. Like, she doesn't have the votes, right? Because our McDonald's going to run against her for next. Like, they were trying to create havoc because she's literally like, let's work with the president. So kudos to her for that. And this is very simple with the wall. It's a campaign promise, which is a huge re-election chip.
Right.
So he's on the things he's done well, tax reform, foreign policy and stuff like that. Those are things in his bag that when he re-election starts, he goes, I've done this, I've done this. Healthcare is not.
Yeah.
So, but if he has a visual, please turn to the screen and look at the beautiful wall we built.
Right.
It's a little hard to run against that.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure...
You can't run into it.
They could run into it. It'd be a huge problem.
Yes.
So if they say no, and if lightning strikes and they win, I guarantee you the first thing they'll do is be like, we're going to put in a wall.
Yeah.
But they'll call it a standing apparatus to deter migrant workers from getting over. Like, it's going to be a different name, but the wall, Hillary was for the wall, everyone was for the wall. It's just because it'll go credit to him and will really kind of lock in his re-election.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Trump has it backwards. He keeps saying we're going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. My theory is Mexico builds the wall and we pay Mexico. Because what does Mexico need? Jobs, right? Build it on the side of Mexico. You have no more eminent domain problems, and we're outsourcing the jobs. Thank you. Unfortunately, I am not running for president because I have too many strange friends. Coming up, the Academy Awards can't get anyone to host the Oscars. We discuss the job that no one wants. It's looking like a lonely Oscars ceremony. The Academy Awards show may go without a host this year because Kevin Hart bailed on the job after the Twitter mob came after him for stuff he said years ago. And after that, who in Hollywood wants to go near this radioactive mess? The PC police have made it their mission to target shame anyone who might rise to the top of any career. We live in a world now where scalping careers online is a full contact sport. So who can host the Oscars? Maybe you're the one person who doesn't tweet stupid stuff, or who's had no scandals, made no edgy jokes, is amazingly inoffensive. Who could that be? I just like to watch his face rise like the moon. All right, Kris, you're a comedian, or so you claim. It's kind of, I mean, the Oscars have a hard time finding a host who doesn't have any kind of past. So what would you suggest?
Well, my pick would be Trey Parker and Matt Stone, South Park guys, or Norm Macdonald. They would never do it, but my real solution would be Martin Short.
Why?
Because he's hilarious and everyone loves him. He can still do song and dance. He's just as good as he's always been. He's classic. You know, I think he would bring people together.
I know what they're going to do, because the guy that they basically shamed out, Kevin Hart, over a homophobic tweet, they're going to have to go with a gay host, and I would say it would be probably Doogie Howser.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, Tyrus.
It'd be him playing Doogie.
Why would I have to know his name, Greg?
Because maybe I thought you might remember that show.
I never watched that show.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Good for you. It's like someone was in your ear.
It
wasn't me.
You know what? If every person had one of these things, you'd be so smart.
Yes.
Tyrus, how do you feel about this? Does this bother you?
I think it's great that people are taking a stand, not wanting to be the next man up after him.
Yeah.
We talked about this. I was talking about this earlier today. Like, the pay's not that great. It's like 15 grand to host. But, you know, I think the PC police should get their hero. I mean, Michael Avenatti should do the show. He needs the money.
He does.
He needs the money.
But, you know, he can't drive there because they repossessed his car.
I'm sure they can put... I'm sure they can put car service involved.
Yes.
And then he can talk for, like, what, 2 hours?
Yes, yes.
And, I mean, no one's going to watch anyway, so, I mean, and, like...
He's the size and shape of the Oscar.
Right, and he can come out and he can... It'll be a great night. They'll make great predictions on who's going to win. Of course, all the predictions are wrong. The other guy will win.
Yeah.
And it will be a great night for the PC police. They're champion.
Seriously.
Of course, until he's carted off because of the assault stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that's the only person... They're going to have to get somebody, as we like to say in my neighborhood, who's really thirsty. It's going to have to be a really thirsty person, or Martin Short actually be a great choice, but he's too smart to do it. So, I mean, unless you're going to jump in and save the day, Greg.
No. I got plans that night.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Oscars. Cat? I'm laughing at my own joke.
I know. I would do it.
Yeah, you would do it.
But only for the attention.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really get the whole watching the Oscars thing anyways. It's basically a party that you're not invited to.
Yeah, it's true.
If someone throws a party and they don't invite me, I'm not like, all right, well, at least there's a window.
Yeah.
I'm not like, okay, great, if I can still watch it and then just tweet about it from afar, that sounds like a fun night. I don't understand it at all. Because it's just a bunch of people showing that they're better than you, and look at all of my expensive clothes and look at my expensive life and watch me cry on TV. If I wanted to watch somebody cry, I'd just look in the mirror.
She's got a point. You know, Heather, she's got a point. Like, it's just a bunch of self-congratulation from very needy people. They have most of what they want, but they're still insecure and miserable.
How come Kevin Hart can't get away with that kind of joke, but Mika can?
Yeah, that's a
double
she's
standard,
white.
isn't it?
See? Boom, Greg gets it. Thanks for coming out. No credits. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, $15,000 isn't a lot of money. I don't know who's going to step up to the plate to take that. Both Jimmy Kimmel and Kevin Hart were willing to, because they say it's a stepping stone to boost your career, right? Take it to the next step. I don't really think they need it. So maybe I think they'll get a lesbian comedian. Talked about this earlier. Wanda Sykes, I think, may satisfy the LGBT community. She's up next in line.
Yeah,
so we'll see if she takes it.
Yeah. Didn't Ellen DeGeneres do it once? I can't remember.
I think so.
See, this is what happens. All of a sudden, we're sitting here talking about identities. Yeah. We're not talking about who's like, is a good host, who could be funny. We're talking about, all right, who ticks the boxes.
Yes.
That's where we are in this world, America. And I'm not sure I'm supporting it. You can take that to the bank. Hey, that's a good idea for a segment. By the way, I just got the new Jasper calendar. There are 4 pictures on every page. She couldn't figure out 12. She had 48. What's wrong? According to new medical research, James Bond was a dangerous drunk. But according to James Bond, new medical research sucks. To you, he's a sexy spy. To them, he's just a drunken guy. Researchers claim James Bond has a serious drinking problem and should seek help. It's fiction. They watched 24 Bond movies. This was an excuse. And counted Bond had 109 drinks, or about 4.5 per film. That is like half a night for me. And when he drinks, Bond engages in all sorts of risky behavior, like fighting, fiction, driving, fiction, high-stakes gambling, it's made up, operating heavy machinery, contact with dangerous animals, and having sex with enemy agents. Fiction. Whew. Now, the lesson here is, yes, alcohol can lead to bad choices, but the researcher suggests that is it MI6 or M16? MI6 should become a more responsible employer and change its workplace drinking culture, which might, however, make the next Bond film look like this.
This Christmas, Bond is back like you've never seen him before.
You hungry? I had an extra one.
You're not gonna hurt me.
Of course not. Violence is so uncivilized.
It's the same James Bond you know and love, rewritten to please even the most progressive, socially conscious moviegoer in 2018.
What'll it be, sir? Let me guess. Martini. Shaken, not stirred?
Latte. Soy latte. Extra decaf.
Extra decaf?
Are the beans sustainably sourced? I only drink organic, farm-raised, homegrown, cruelty-free coffee.
I have no idea.
With intrigue and suspense.
Your move, 007.
Is it? No, seriously, is it? I don't know how to play this game. I saw at a TED Talk recently that competitive activities only encourage toxic masculinity and marginalize disenfranchised communities into unjust hierarchical structures reinforced by a bigoted and corrupt system.
You're bluffing.
What's a bluff?
And it isn't a Bond film without seduction.
Well, James, I've had a really lovely evening. Care to come inside?
You know, I don't appreciate the heteronormative assumptions in your proposition. It's regressive, anti-neo-feminist rhetoric like that that perpetuates a patriarchal society of oppression and gendered subjugation, not the least of which I care to contribute to.
You could have just said no.
So get ready for the most politically correct secret agent of all time. No guns, no gambling, no girls. It's James Bond in The Spy Who Consensually Agreed in Writing She Loved Me.
You must be Q.
It's LGBTQ now.
But of course.
I make a terrible cue, by the way. Oh, geez. Let's go. Kat, who's going to watch James Bond Teetotaler? Is that the word? No one.
No one. I'm just picturing, like, the next one is just him sitting at Passages Malibu in, like, a support group. I would not watch that unless it were hosted by Dr. Drew. Seems like a job that Dr. Drew could do.
I know. She brings it into, and she'll shoehorn it into a Bond segment.
I did.
Something wrong with you.
But it's like, why is 4 drinks per movie a lot? Doesn't the movie take place over a long period of time?
Yes.
If you can't have 4 drinks in like a month, then I've got a serious problem.
Tyrus, we are heading in this direction. I mean, Hollywood is already kind of injecting political messages and fatuous virtue signaling. Like, all the movies are trying to force feed us something.
You know, the funniest part about this whole situation is that we keep calling them researchers.
Yes.
Like, this is not a team of scientists. This is a team of, what do you got, man? I was high all weekend. I didn't do anything. All the rabbits are dead. No one fed the rabbits. What do we do?
All the rabbits.
I watched James Bond. Okay, that's great. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Like, that's literally what, and they turned that in with a straight face. Like,
yeah.
Sir, there's alcoholism in movies. Hey, so what do we take out for when the stunt double does the drink?
Yeah.
Or the stunt double goes in the room with a girl or does the fight scene? So does that count away? I mean, it's fiction. Like you said, like, I don't get, you know, like every movie there's going to be a psychologist going to come out. And listen, you have to understand, Thanos had a lot of issues as a child, hence why he killed half the galaxy.
Yeah.
So he seriously has some suicidal tendencies and like, it's a movie.
It is
if
a
you
movie.
don't like it, turn it off.
You know, Heather, I think that, like, movies are like, they're trying to buy protection from social justice. So they do stuff so that people won't come after them later. Does that make sense?
Maybe, but I thought people go to the movies for sex, drugs, violence. Isn't that, not rock and roll, but sex, drugs, and violence? Isn't that why you go to a movie?
I don't go to movies for sex. I don't go to movies for sex.
No, not to get sex. You go to a movie to watch.
No, but I guess the thing is, it's like when I order my dinner, I don't like the peas touching the mashed potatoes. So, you know,
You're one of those, huh?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't want to sit in a movie and there's something going on and all of a sudden there's a sex scene. It's like, especially if you're with, like, family members. Anyone. Yeah, it's just, like, gross.
Well, maybe don't take the kids to go see 50 First Dates or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
50 Shades of Grey, you mean?
Yeah. No, 50 First Dates.
See, I thought it was about coloring.
Yeah.
I thought it was about coloring.
Really?
So I brought the kids to 50
As soon as you saw the room, you were like taking notes.
Where am I? Chris? Thank you, Heather.
Tyrus was right. It was the Aussies did this.
Right.
So when I read the title of the article, and my original thought was like the drinking problem was going to be that he didn't drink enough at first, and then so he has sex with his enemies, but like. He still has good judgment. His judgment's not impaired. Like, he picks the hot ones.
Right, that's true.
It's not like he's, you know, banging around with Jaws and Odd Job or whatever his name. And they say it's consensual.
Jaws was the big guy with the teeth, Greg.
What was
Not
his name?
fish.
Richard Keel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you
was
go.
also in
Up next.
Happy Gilmore, yeah.
An NBA star thinks NASA faked the moon landing. Finally, the truth comes out. Landing on the moon? You must be a loon. NBA star Steph Curry recently said on a podcast he's not convinced the moon landing really happened.
We ever been to the moon? Nope. Nope. They gonna come get us. I don't think so either. I'm conspiracy. Sorry, I don't want to start a conspiracy. They ain't been on the moon.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. Stanley, you got to do research on Stanley Kubrick.
You know what? Steph may be onto something. Maybe the so-called moon landing happened this way.
The moon landing. Real or something far more incredible than anyone ever imagined. June 1961, President Kennedy outlines the goal.
Of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
The effort sold to the public as the Apollo missions. Apollo, the son of Zeus in Greek mythology. Greece, which shares a border with Turkey. Turkey, the same bird that JFK pardoned for Thanksgiving in November of '63. That bird's total weight, roughly 20 pounds. Add 20 to 1963 and you get 1983, the same year Ronald Reagan announces Star Wars, a strategic defense initiative to counter Russian missiles. The Speaker of the House during that announcement, Tip O'Neill. O'Neill spelled with 2 L's. Where did he get the second L? Did he steal it from NASA? Give the second L back to NASA and you get nasal. Maybe the Apollo missions weren't designed to go to space, but into someone's face. Did NASA somehow shrink their astronauts to microscopic size? JFK, turkeys, Reagan, Star Wars, Greek gods, and Tip O'Neill. Tip O'Neill's longtime chief of staff, a young Kris Matthews. Could it be that American astronauts never landed on the moon, but did land inside the right nostril of Kris Matthews? You don't know. We're just asking questions.
Makes sense. Tyrus, do you think he was being serious? I think he was being serious and then walked it back.
I think you went to me first because. All right. This is something that the president has started, and I love the fact that athletes are doing it now too. The media is so looking for any kind of dirt on someone who caused trouble. You can now have fun with them. Kyrie Irving did this a few months back, where he says, "Yeah, I think the world's flat," and it was everywhere. They're running with it, right? And he did the same thing. He was messing around on the podcast. It was like, "Yeah, moon landing didn't happen." So watch what happened. He's literally, you can hear the giggle in his voice when he's saying it. But this is what it's come down to. Like, the media doesn't care. They create stories. They want to do things to get reactions. They love a good negative. They love anything negative about politics, anything negative about our president. And athletes, especially black athletes, they love any kind of thing where they look dumb or ignorant or whatever. He was having fun with you, period. He even came back and said, "I was just messing around." It was a podcast.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it wasn't an evening with Walter Cronkite where he broke out a map and was like, "See, the moon's here, and I know for a fact, here's the studio." Like, look how bad the film was back then.
Yeah.
If we were making fake studios with moon landings, it would be better than you could hear the crisping of the tape while the president of the United States talks about the moon landing.
Right.
So, I mean, it just goes back to the media is so thirsty for any type of drama that they'll create it. Like this.
So this was actually a creation of the media.
This is your conspiracy theory.
There
This is
you
your
go.
fake moon walking.
I happen to believe that the moon exists, Kris, but it's flat.
The moon is flat.
Yes, the moon is flat. Huh?
You just made the news cycle.
Twist.
Yes, yes.
That's true, because they say you always see the same parts of the moon. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I've never seen the other side of the moon.
I have never seen a basketball game fully through, so I didn't even, like, again, this was. So, like, when I just saw on social media, it said, like, Curry thinks the moon is, or whatever, the landing was fake. And I was, like, as a comedian, I thought to myself, like, oh, that's good. Mark Curry's getting back out there, the guy who was in Hanging with Mr. Cooper. So that's good for him.
Was he kidding? Tyrus says he was kidding.
So I don't want to get into a rumble with Tyrus, but just in case he wasn't kidding, the facts are Apollo 11, 1969, 6 times we've been to the moon since then, and 12 astronauts have landed on the moon.
Right.
And, look, Richard Branson's going to the moon in private space rocket ships. Maybe Elon Musk with Tesla, I think, is sending people up to. We just landed Rover on Mars again, NASA's InSight.
My dog.
And we have a Space Force coming.
Space Force is coming.
And your dog in Jasper.
Oh, no. Well, I would send Jasper to the moon. But not enough oxygen in that tank.
But President Trump wants a Space Force. It has to be real. We had to have already gone there.
All right, Kat, here's the scary part. Thanks to technology, it will be easier to disbelieve photographs and film evidence because it can be easily manipulated. Any geek in Silicon Valley can place you, Kat, into, like, some surveillance footage in a parking garage to make you look really embarrassing.
What am I doing in the parking garage?
Something bad. That's my point. So real footage now can't be trusted, and you can manipulate fake footage so it seems real.
I suppose you could do that, but I'd just be happy to have the extra fame from that. It wouldn't really matter what I was doing in the parking garage as long as I could retweet it.
Yes.
I had a huge problem with his comments, and not because he said them, but because as soon as he said them, I found myself attracted to him. But only then, because I totally think we did land on the moon, and I totally think that someone who doesn't think that is crazy, which is exactly why I was like, he can come over. And I don't think that's good, Greg.
No, it's not good, is it?
No, it's not
It seems to be a reoccurring problem with you.
It is a reoccurring problem.
Yes.
So I thought I'd been making some progress.
That's good.
And this happened, and nope.
Back to square one.
Yep.
All right. Still ahead. These blokes can't take a joke. Now, comedy shows are being censored in England. How about that? They wanted to remove the punch from the punchline. A student club at the University of London demanded several comedians sign a safe space contract before performing at a charity event next month. One of those comedians tweeted the contract out, saying it nearly made him puke. It reads in part, by signing this contract, you are agreeing to our no-tolerance policy with regards to racism, sexism, classism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, or anti-religion, or anti-atheism. Crap, what's left? Sorry, no jokes about crap. There goes my entire act. Anyway, after that guy called out the contract, the student club apologized and said they were all for free speech. I don't know whether to laugh or throw up. Right, Timmy? He enjoyed that so much. All right, Kat, do you think they backed down because they got called out? They would have kept it in.
They would have kept it in. I think it's just completely a misunderstanding of what comedy is. This was supposed to be a safe space contract to guarantee a safe space. But the beautiful thing about comedy is that it's not a safe space. You can go there and hear things that you might not hear somewhere else. And the power of comedy is that it can tackle those difficult issues sometimes and make you laugh at them, which helps you feel better. And you kind of remove that power if you make comedians too afraid to talk about anything.
Right.
I think that people are really going to regret this when we are not allowed to laugh at anything anymore.
Yeah. You know, Kris, I bet there would be comics who signed that contract because that would get them work. If they play along, they get a job. And what would you do? If you had a contract that was set to sign, would you do that?
Well, me... I mean, if it paid, I would sign and do it, and then I would probably end up doing things I shouldn't and just. But you know, if I'm an established person, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it.
If I really, you know.
So it's the up and comer. This is my point. The up and comer will do this, and that's frustrating because it enables this to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I do little shows where they say like, oh, it's this person has a whatever problem, so don't talk. And I try to accommodate. But if it's something that's ridiculous, you just, you know.
Yeah. I was at an event where I made a joke and somebody came after me. Do you know that this person has blah, blah, blah? And it was like, I didn't know they had a kitten.
Yeah.
No more kitten jokes, Heather. Not everything in the world is about, I'd love it to be all about love and joy, and it just isn't. I mean, they mentioned so many isms that I can't even pronounce, but I guess only on the Gutfeld Show with rainbow-colored unicorns can we think that everything is about joy and love. And, I mean, if you're a comedian, you have to take risk, right? That's how you make it. I mean, you have, and I'm sitting next to a big risk right now after the Hawkins joke. That's what I learned. But
Tyrus, what's going on? You look like you're about to explode or something.
Well, for two things. One, I hate throwing up, Greg.
Yes.
And,
did that trigger it?
I had to turn away, and it also reminded me of how much of a bad dad I am because there's been situations where my kid's thrown up and I just leave them. So my daughter was throwing up and I was like, I'll go find your mother, and we were at a park. So, and my son threw up in an Applebee's once, and I was like, I'm sorry.
You know what, it is.
And I left him. But I would rather talk about kids throwing up than some stupid place telling you, what are you going to, the whole show is an introduction.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tyrus. Thanks for coming out. Good night.
Good night.
But I can't say good night because somebody might have sleep deprivation. So let's just stare at each other for a while till you guys feel like going.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be if comedians don't speak up. Not Kris.
Can I say real quick?
Yes.
As an analogy, it used to be it was Lenny Bruce. He said some religious stuff, couldn't say it, and they fought for that. Now those same people are the ones so now PC is a religion.
Right.
And they're trying to tell you what, you can say, and I think that's very important. I'm done.
All right. Final thoughts next. And don't forget, check out my new show on Fox Nation. It's called One Smart Person and Greg Gutfeld. This week I interviewed sex science writer and political commentator Dr. Deborah So. Here's a taste.
The people who are going out and doing the mobbing and who show up at debates and try to shut it down and who are even potentially violent, most of the time they haven't even read the work of the person they are trying to shut down. They're just going based on what their friends are saying, or they might see flyers put up on campus. And that's really disturbing to me because it's really a mindlessness that's taking over.
The perfect point to this is when somebody makes a joke that actually agrees with this, let's say, a progressive perspective. That doesn't matter because it's still a joke that uses the terms, and even that is a sin. We are out of time. Thanks to Heather Zumarraga, Kris Freed, Kat Timpf, Tyrus, our studio audience. I'm GG. I love you, America.